Scam School Remix. This is one of the most powerful gimmicked decks in all of Magic, and guess what? You can make one for free. Everybody take one card. Don't let me see which one. You guys can remember your card, both the suit and the number, right?
Yes.
You're not gonna let me see. Put that back in, put that back in. Now the first thing everybody thinks is that I'm gonna put my pinky in there or something and keep a little gap to keep it in there. You can see it's totally flat in there. And then you think, we'll mix them up a bit so you don't know where they are. And in fact, we'll do the double blind gold standard. Do you guys remember your card? The suit and the value?
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
what was your card?
5 of spades.
5 of spades. And Carolina, yours was?
6 of spades.
6 of spades, all right. And yours was?
7 of hearts.
Whoa, so we had a 5, 6, and a 7? I'm gonna try to cut directly to, who had the 5 of spades?
I did.
Right there. That's 1. I'm feeling like, who had the 7 of hearts? Right there. That's 2. What was the last one, Carolina?
6 of spades.
6 of spades. All right, hold on. You said yours was the what? The 6 of
The
spades?
6 of this, yeah.
6 of spades. Here's what's great, is I'm not even gonna cut to the card. You're gonna cut to the card. I want you to take however many cards you want and cut it straight down, wherever you think your card is.
Feel
All right,
it.
there you go,
Feel
sit
it.
down. Did it feel good to you?
Use your women's
Did you
intuition.
feel, see, woman's intuition. Did you feel like you were drawn to it, or you just kind of like, whatever, this guy's a jackass?
Half 50-50.
Yeah, no, all right, that's cool.
I BS'd it 50-50.
Turn over the card. Boom! Huzzah! The first trick deck of cards that every young person who gets started in Magic ends up buying is something called a stripper deck. It's a deck of cards that has been beveled in such a way, it looks like all 4 sides of this are even, right?
Yeah.
But in fact, if you look super closely, you can see that this corner right here is ever so slightly beveled in. If you take one card, we're gonna turn it around backwards. You don't really see anything in there, but you might see just a little bit of a protrusion there, right? I want you to take the cards, hold them in your left hand, and I want you to run your right hand out and see if you're able to pull it out. You feel it? There we go, and you get the Queen of
Instant
Clubs.
magician.
The simplest version of this trick would be, here, pick a card, and once you take it, you look at it, and while you're looking at the card, I take all of these cards and turn them around. And so now you put the card back in, and because you've reversed it, you'll have that, again, that little protrusion that allows somebody to slip out the card from the deck, right? So most people, when they get started in Magic, they spend way too much money on getting a pre-made stripper deck where they're die cut with the bevels already in there. The problem is, on a lot of them, I think the bevels look a little bit too obvious. More importantly, you have to spend money. To make my own stripper deck, I started by taking 2 different decks and I sandwiched one in between parts of the other so it was double thick. I made sure the whole thing was totally flat. I wrapped about 8 rubber bands around it so it became like a brick. I put it into a vise. I used a sander at first, but I noticed that it made this big grinding stuff that made it pretty obvious that the deck had been messed with. So what I did a second time was do it by hand, and it was less than 15 minutes. It's just a matter of, you want to keep a tight eye and make sure that everything looks smooth to you. You were able to get a bevel all the way from the base of one side down to the other, and now the only thing is you end up with a tight corner on the one end, which I rounded out with more sandpaper. If you do it right, when you pull the whole thing apart, you should have a very smooth, very subtle bevel that would pass inspection with most people, unless they knew what they were looking for. And to be honest, very few people know to even think to look for a stripper deck. It's so weird because when you get started in Magic, you start off with gimmicks,
Yeah.
and then you decide to be a purist, and you're like, I'm gonna learn the real sleight of hand. And then at some point you're like, you know what? I think the tricks actually work better.
Well, yeah,
if you have
because
a
you
gimmick.
can eliminate so much of the sleight of hand, the gimmicky finger breaks. I mean, this is what it would look like, but magicians don't use it because it's seen as
too
childish,
easy.
and yeah,
Too
it's like,
easy.
oh, nobody does it.
Right. That presentation, the whole cutting to the 3 cards, was something that we came up with like 5 minutes
Yeah.
before we shot it. And in fact, it actually went wrong.
Yeah,
And it was a case.
But it was great because you got to still build even better, and you even made it an almost better trick doing that.
Yeah, well, so what happened is that's one of the downfalls of a stripper deck is, of course, you have someone pick the card and you turn it around and you put it back in, right? And then you're set. But you could do the bad thing that happens is you have them pick a card, I turn around the deck, and then you also turn around the deck, and then you put it back in. Now all of a sudden that one's truly lost. And that's what happened on the third of the 3 cards.
And if you're doing it with just one person, you can kind of keep track of it. But if it's 3 people, you don't know, because if one turns it around, you you have no control over
Well,
that.
and that's the important thing is that nobody knows what the intended outcome of the trick is
Good point.
until it's actually over. I could feel that 2 of the cards were there,
Yeah.
and using the stripping, I was able to just pick up and break exactly at
Yeah.
2 of the cards, and it was obvious that there were no more reversed cards.
Yeah.
So for the third bit, kind of on the fly, just say, what was your card? And I found it again, and then I just set it on top. And I said, well, I'm going to have you cut to the card.
Yeah.
And I used something that we had demonstrated all the way back in like episode 50 or so, the crisscross
Yeah.
force, where you just have them cut the cards, you mark it, you take just a moment to
Yeah.
ask. All you got to ask is, you remember the suit, you remember the value. Go ahead,
And they
take a look
forget
at your
everything.
card.
And yeah, and it's diabolical.
Let's talk about stuff you could do with the stripper deck.
So you would have any card selected, take
Selected,
that,
got it.
in reverse,
Yep.
put that straight in there, in the middle of it,
Yep.
and then you can just get that to kind of rise up.
And what are you doing? Is that just your pinky?
Yeah, it's just
dragging
your
it up?
pinky going up across the edge of it.
It's someone like me, because I'm lazy, to put it back in, right? And then
Yeah.
you pull it. Now, this is what I love about time delay. You pull their card, right, on top. You don't just reveal it on top. Instead, with your pinky, you just go boop, and then you raise it
Yeah.
up like that. Now, some people might be tempted to discount the stripper deck because it's so simple. But trust me, that simplicity is where the beauty exists. Because it's so simple, you're gonna be able to do jazz with this thing. The moment you make one of these, the first trick you're gonna wanna do is the most obvious one. Resist that temptation. Instead, try to come up with creative ideas that use this principle, but in a way magicians would never suspect, let alone detect. By the way, it is a lot of time, effort, and energy to put into making one of these. If you want one that's already machine cut, beautiful, and ready to go, check out the stuff over at scamstuff.com. It's gear for the modern rogue. We have not only a stripper deck, but the awesome new Apex deck that has 3 different gimmicks all built in one incredible deck. If you're a longtime fan of Scam School, then you know we loves us some Domain.com. Fast, easy, reliable domain registration with 99.99% uptime, 24/7 support. There's nothing not to love about Domain.com. The best part? Use promo code SCAMSCHOOL at checkout. Not only will you be keeping us in business, but you'll get 15% off your domain. It's win-win-win. Everybody wins, especially me and you and Domain.com. We all win. Scam School Remix is the best of 10 years and 500 plus episodes of Scam School. Did you hear me? 500 episodes of Scam School. Every episode is time compressed so you do the maximum amount of learning in the minimum amount of time. You take decades and condense it into years, maybe months, maybe even days. I submit to you, sir. Take the Scam School Remix Challenge. Watch all of them. Let me know how quickly you get through them. It's gonna take you a bit. There's a lot.